How is everybody doing? Welcome to the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. This is episode number 66 here at the Launchpad Media, where we are always launching ideas in your direction. I'm Nikki B here with the illustrious, the amazing, the barely conscious Lizzie. How are we doing today, babe?
Not bad.
You're doing good. That was a good fake one. I like it. She's putting on airs for you people.
So you say.
You deserve it. You deserve the airs.
All right. So what's shaking today?
Well, what I want to do is I want to ask people, hey, have you stopped by soundslike.liberty.com? Have you done it recently? Because if you haven't, you're missing out on the fantastic show notes that Lizzie here has been writing. They're fantastic, are they not?
I have been writing the fantasticness.
There are links and stuff in them.
I do. I put in all the links for the stuff that we talk about, and I try to make it interesting. I like finding out. I like to research. So if I were reading those notes, I would want to know how to find all of the bands and stuff that we mentioned. So that's what I put in there.
Nice.
So you can check them out.
Nice. And if you really like what we're doing, or you just really want to be nice, you can stop by the Freedom Choir section on the website. Throw a few shekels our way. Help us do more of this. Help us, not feel quite so bad about spending a couple of minutes away from our kid. But if all of that is too much commitment for you, and I believe me, I get it. I don't want to be taken away from the discussion boards on Facebook any longer. But you have to ask yourself, if you're going to be in a Facebook group, why would it not be That Sounds Like Liberty discussion board?
Right on.
You know, the one that focuses on music and liberty.
And music and liberty memes.
And general shit posting mostly.
Yeah.
I recommend going and doing that. You know, you can also go do the whole like, subscribe, and share thing. If you do find your way to the discussion board, you get to hang out with our good peeps like Ben Pangy, Tim Finnegan, or Mr. Sue.
Those are some good peeps. They're
good peeps. Those are people that have been very, very supportive of us, and we are super happy to have them all there. We also have, more Nick. That's something you're interested in.
Yep.
This is like, I don't know why you would want more Nick, but that's because she lives with me. She has
I get
far
all
too much
the
of
Nick.
it. Yeah, she has more Nick than she knows what to do with. So I try to send him to the gym to have less Nick, but there's just always more Nick.
Aw.
But you can go check out some of my other podcasts, the Free Markets Green Earth podcast, where we talk about environmentalism with my friend Ben Pangy, the Introvert Musician, where I talk about music stuff. It's been on a little bit of a hiatus while I figure out what I'm doing with it, but there's still a bunch of good episodes on there. We also have This Week in Liberpods, where I just go and talk about libertarian podcasts.
Yeah.
Your new favorite one could be out there. So, Lizzie, what do we got for the people today?
Today we are talking with our buddy Buck.
I like that his name's Buck.
It's amazing. He's a super cool dude. He's just like been in the stuff for like.
He totally rolled with us. That's the best thing about it. Like I'm a bit to take, and he took.
I think he was dishing as well.
I don't know.
He was totally he can hang. And it was super cool to meet him.
It was nice to meet like another Guido type guy. I had him send me pictures for the, promotional materials.
Yeah,
And I just look at him like, God, you are a fucking New York hardcore guy, aren't you?
No, there you go.
He is totally like exactly what I expected.
Down in Texas, which is awesome.
I didn't get the impression he's from Texas, but I got the impression, like Christopher Walken in the movie Joe Dirt, he didn't want us to know where he was from.
Hey, and in the end, it doesn't matter, because wherever he comes from, he's bringing some cool stuff to where he's at. His podcast, I actually subscribed, and I'm really enjoying it. Pretty cool.
I like it too.
Yeah.
So why don't we get this opening music, which is the Hot Rod and Romeo's Russian Roulette. And on the other side, you're going to get our interview with Buck Johnson.
Put a bullet in the chamber and a place so bad to take a spin with Russian roulette. Never play with money while your luck is bad. Take a spin with Russian roulette.
But yeah, so this is Sounds Like Liberty. Me and my wife host, and typically we talk about music and, you know, libertarian shit.
And anything else that happens to come up in the conversation, really.
Sometimes it goes weird. It's really more about the people than anything else. I like to say the show, what we're trying to do, our mission, if you will, is just pick out who the cool people in Ancapistan are going to be.
Okay. Like well, I think I'm one of them.
The ones with good taste.
Right. Gotcha.
I mean, I would probably pose it more as community building within, you know, people who can relate to those ideas.
But that's because you're a good person, and I'm not.
Yeah.
He's just making a list, you know.
Yeah, I don't care if they're good people. I just care if they like good music or not. And if it's shitty music, Lord. Then they can pound sand or something. I don't know.
Physically removed.
Oh, God. We've already had that conversation. That's great.
I had a feeling with Buck it was going to come up. So, let's start things off here. Welcome to the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. We are here with our good friend, new friend, Buck. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you do and why I would ask you to come on a podcast in the first place? Who the hell are you? Why shouldn't everybody know you?
All right. This is Buck Johnson out of Austin, Texas, host of the Death to Tyrants podcast. And I happen to be a musician as well. And I'm assuming that might have something to do with why I'm here on the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. And a few days ago, I got a message from Nick saying, "Hey, I just heard you mention that you're a musician. What's up with that?" And so here I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you're a musician that's the startling part. It's the fact that you're a musician and not a socialist. That's the surprising part.
I can second that big time. I'm here in Austin, Texas. And there's not a lot of libertarian musicians. There are a couple of us, but yeah, most of them are far left. If, you know, most of them actually don't know much about politics at all. And they kind of pretend that these days it's fashionable to just say, throw your opinion out there, and they're all anti-Trump. So they just go with whatever left-wing kind of fad there is at the moment.
But they do it poorly. Like, I'm anti-Trump too, but like...
Yeah, right. They're not anti-Trump for the good things. That's the weird...
murder.
Right. I know. Yeah.
So, how long have you been doing the podcast?
Let's see. It's 2019. I started in 2018, sometime around April. So what is that? A year and a half, maybe?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I do is I host the podcast This Week in Liberpods. And that's how I actually discovered you, was going through and finding all of the libertarian podcasts that are out there.
Yep.
And you're on deck one of these weeks here. When I have enough time to produce one of my 4 podcasts.
Yeah. You're a busy guy then.
I
guess maybe I don't like my kid or something. It's
no, he'd just get crazy if he wasn't busy. She was actually down here with him on the next computer. She was doing her PBS Kids and he was doing his computing. It was super cute.
Yeah, she snuck up all creepily. And like me and remember turning around like, what the fuck are you doing there?
Just sitting here. What do you mean?
Like, when did you get here? How long have you been standing there? It's creepy. So
let me ask you guys this real quick. Are y'all in the same room?
We are.
Okay.
Does it not sound like we are?
Well, I can't see either one of you. And, the last time I did something like this, it was it was all separate. So it sounds the same way. And I'm just picturing like someone in a basement and someone in like an office or something.
Oh, do I get to be in the office? That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll put Nick in the basement.
Okay.
And that's where Nick spends most of his life. So not any stretch here. In reality, we are both in the basement.
We are.
Okay. So you can look at each other and be like, do the throat slash thing, like quit asking these kind of things or something.
I mean, it's usually a little bit more animated, the looks that she gives me. Why are you asking this question? Well, see, one of my favorite questions to ask is the soundtrack moment question. And normally this would come later in the show where I'd say, so was there a piece of music or like an album or something that is inextricably linked to a moment or a time in your life, and when you hear it, you're immediately transported back there? Parenthetically, what's the song you lost your virginity to?
Oh my gosh.
And she usually like
I started thinking of it. I started thinking of a song that meant something special to me, and then you threw that little detail in there.
Right?
And I actually went exactly to the movie that was on my TV at that moment, and it was What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Wow.
That is a horrible thing to be.
Yeah.
It is.
Normally I don't judge, but geez, dude.
Well, no, I'm only impressed. Like, how do you manage to get someone in the mood to that movie?
Maybe she liked Johnny Depp.
Was it the knight in shimmering armor, like 700-pound woman fused to the bed? Like,
I saw her and I thought, this is it. This is my time. No, I'm hoping that at the time the girl, she must have liked Johnny Depp. It just happened to be on the TV, and next thing I know, my life changed.
It couldn't even have been Benny and June or something like that. Like, it was Gilbert Grape.
I know.
Autistic.
Yeah, at least it wasn't Edward Scissorhands, I guess.
I guess.
Oh, no, that one would have made even more sense. Like, you know, she was into knives and, you know, he had knife hands plus Johnny Depp.
Right.
And, like, you're just sitting there like, I kind of wish you were Winona Ryder right now, but you're not.
That is true.
There's a lot of things in that movie that, given, you know, a different context, could seriously rev the engine. So I can't begrudge anyone if that's the movie. Because Gilbert Grape's it's an odd one.
And I've not seen it since.
Well, there you go.
So it's permanently encapsulated, like, that is totally woven to that.
It is. And I'm not really a movie person by any means at all. My brother worked in Hollywood in the movie industry. He's not a music person. I'm not a movie person, but that's funny. The first question I answer here is involving What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
That's hilarious. So your brother works in movies. How does that work with, you know, your personal politics?
Him and I tend to disagree. Overall, he's not a political person for the most part.
Yeah,
he's extremely successful, and I'm a little jealous of that part. He's out there in a bubble, and he kind of knows that. We don't talk politics very much. Okay. He kind of wonders, you're a libertarian. He's gay as well, and so he thinks, okay, well, gay marriage is okay with libertarians. I think that's kind of cool. And then he did at one point send me a text. I've been listening to your podcast. Let me ask you something. I know this is going to blow your mind, guys. Who would build the roads in a libertarian society, and how would we pay for schools? So, you know, I love him, but he's not a political guy by any means.
So those questions.
At least he's asking the questions, though.
He did. Yes, yeah. And I started back with, it's funny you ask that. That's the questions that we make jokes about in libertarianism.
Literally the exact two.
Yes, those two. Yes.
See, my brother's a cop, so we have different sorts of questions that we talk about.
Oh, I bet you do. What are his politics?
Honestly, as terrible as it is, on like the libertarian spectrum, he's probably one of the more liberty-minded people I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, like out of all the people I know, we probably agree on more than we disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think with him, it would just be cognitive dissonance that would keep him from like coming all the way over.
Yeah, 100%.
And perhaps he's like, I think part of buying into libertarianism is that you have to naturally be somebody who could give a fuck about the status quo. And he is one of those people like, yeah, even if your idea is better, I mean, it's not improving my life, so why the fuck should I, care?
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, my job pays me well. It's a fairly safe job.
Yeah, good pension probably.
But in the same vein, like, when we talk, he'll be the first one to tell me that, that it's ludicrous that
police have to deal with mental health issues, for instance.
Well, mental health issues, or that, they should be dealing with drugs at all.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
So, I mean, he gets it, but in the same time, he's not so principled. He's going to not do his job either. So,
right.
It's a little frustrating at times.
I dated a cop right before she was hired, and she was still a month or two out from actually starting the job. And we had this agreement: we're going to date. We like each other. And once I start doing this police business, we're not dating anymore. So that's perfect. We had all these arguments that she thought prostitution should be illegal, and that heroin should be illegal. Police are there to protect us from ourselves. And I said, you know what? We're going to fundamentally disagree on all of this stuff. let's have a good time dating. And then in a month, we're done.
See, that's so pragmatic. I appreciate that.
There you go.
And I imagine it was probably pretty wild while it went on.
It was a good month.
I dated a soldier for a while. And
nice.
while we didn't really like each other all that much, it was fun to parade, in my case, the hot piece of ass around, and in her case, a musician around.
There you go.
Like, I don't know that we had any connection outside of the fact that we liked making our other friends jealous.
Right. Are you getting that look from across the table right now?
Well, no, it made me think of Sugar We're Going Down, because I'm just a notch on your bedpost, and you're just a line in the song.
Was definitely playing in the background of my memories.
There you go.
She was an alright person,
but
it was weird. Knowing someone has been trained to kill you, it's pretty. It makes certain things a little bit more. You want to try the stroke and choke, it's one thing, but try fake rape. That's where it's really at.
You need a safe word.
Yeah, right.
I literally have a song called "Safe Word" that we released in my band, The Purveyors of Fiction.
Nice.
It's pretty ridiculous. So, so how did you kind of come to the whole Liberty thing? You're one of those Ron Paul people, I'm betting.
Yes, but way before, I would say 10 years before most of the Ron Paul people. But I'm in Austin. I've mentioned that a few times. Mm-hmm. And Alex Jones is here. And I moved here in 98. Alex Jones and a friend of mine, Jack Blood, a few other people in that vein were on this FM talk radio station here, 98 point something or other. And it was cool. It was an anti-establishment FM talk radio station. And that was, of course, in the 90s. Different. I didn't have a iPod or Bluetooth or anything. So I would drive around town with that station on. And Alex kept mentioning Ron Paul, this congressman, Ron Paul. We're in the same state, so it's not too crazy to hear that name over and over. And I started looking up his stuff, and yeah, the guy was amazing. And that was in 98. So 99, I would say, would be my libertarian moment-ish. I bought a book by Harry Brown called The Great Libertarian Offer, and I was sold after that. And
what's that book about? I've never heard of that one. I know he did, in a How to Be Free in an Unfree World or whatever.
He basically goes through every kind of, I'm not saying this in a negative way, every generic political topic that libertarians hit on, and he explains the libertarian position on it. It was basically his way of saying, I'm going to run for office. Here's why you should vote for me. And I was sold the minute I read that. I was like, this is so good. And I called my dad, who's a conservative. I said, Dad, I mean, this is kind of some of the stuff you talk about with taxes and everything, but it just takes it even further.
They're cool queers, Dad.
Yeah, at the time, he's like, oh, it's kind of crazy. Everyone's going to do drugs if they win. So he didn't get it at the time. But yeah, that Harry Brown book, Alex Jones, and Ron Paul were kind of all the whirlwind in around 98 or 99 for me. And I've been in hardcore ever since then.
I feel like Alex Jones has brought a lot of people in. I think it's eventually you're like, okay, well, here's the parts of that probably aren't total bullshit. And then here's the parts that, he's dreaming up in his nightmares.
Yeah, that is, I truly, in fact, I had dinner last night with a fairly well-known up-and-coming young man here in the libertarian scene. And that was one of the things we talked about. He said the same thing you just said. I feel like Alex Jones has brought more people into the libertarian movement than anyone I can think of other than Ron Paul.
I mean, it's terrible for his retention, but I mean, he still gets the numbers. So, I mean, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it specifically? I mean, are you somebody who still follows Alex Jones, or you kind of moved away yourself?
I kind of moved away, and I'm not saying that as an insult to Alex by any means. If I could have him on my show, I'd have him on right now, tomorrow.
I disagree with him on a lot of shit. I'd have him on whenever he wants to come in. I love those numbers. Please bring your millions of viewers my way.
Exactly. And I don't know, I've got a soft spot for him because he kind of did get me into this crazy world, even though he's got his own kind of interesting take on things. And of course, I don't agree with everything he's put out. There'd be several questions I'd love to ask him about some of his past, but no, I don't listen to him much
Did
now.
you really
for
psychologically abuse your wife and children?
Yeah, I mean, how much of this
Do you want to know?
how much is an act? But yeah, unfortunately, he's been deplatformed. So to be honest with you, I'm not sure how to listen to him these days.
That is unfortunate. I know people are still listening to him.
Yeah, I talked to Joe Biggs, who's kind of a close associate with Alex. He was on my podcast, and he's doing stuff with him. It's just, unfortunately, you can't find it like you used to. If it were on Apple, his podcast, yeah, honestly, I probably would check it out once every few weeks or so.
Not as often as I check out Rogan.
Same, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would have to be a topic or a guest or something that I thought was interesting, and then I'd tune in.
Yeah, I'd find that fewer and far between on Rogan. I think he's learned how far he can push that envelope.
His podcasts are so long. I don't understand how anyone could keep going for 3.5 hours like that. But yeah, if Dave Smith is on or Tulsi
Gabbard,
Gabbard,
anyone could talk for like that.
Well, I just can't believe that so many people. He's got the biggest podcast in the world. I can't believe millions of people listen to something 3.5 hours at a time. I'm impressed.
That is impressive.
I don't think they do listen to it 3.5 hours at a time. I think he gets listened to in bits and pieces, but they don't listen to a lot of other podcasts.
That's the thing, yeah.
And I think a lot of what he gets is actually
Come on, baby, and just get freaking with me. This is where everybody can say. Come on, baby, and just get freaking with me. This is where everybody can say.
Sorry, I got sidetracked here. I just read a text message that popped up. We're recording this on Sunday. And for those who don't know, Eddie Money died last week.
Yeah.
2 days ago, I believe, officially. And then I just got a text message that Rick Ocasek just died.
Really?
Yeah. And that's
That
rough.
That might be all over Twitter then, I assume.
I don't know. I've been down here looking at Wikipedia on musicians all day. So, wow, that kind of throws me for a little bit of a loop.
Yeah.
What kind of music are you into? I obviously we were talking, you're a musician yourself to some degree. You did say drummer, so technically you're not a musician. But
Oh, really?
That's the joke.
He's the one who did the joke before I got a chance to. So
I did. In all fairness, he wrote when he said, "Wait a second, did I hear you say you were a musician?" And I said, "Well, musician joke here. I'm a drummer. Does that count?"
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. Some of my favorite musicians are drummers.
Right.
Joey Castillo played with the Queens of the Stone Age and Ozzy and a bunch of other people. He's a drummer. You'll totally watch him do anything. Dude just looks like a caveman beating the shit out of a kit. It's hilarious.
So what kind of music am I into specifically? Is that what you're asking?
Yep.
A lot, really. And I hate when people say that typically. I'm into everything because I'm not into everything, but everything that's its original format. So I play a lot of 60s style honky tonk here in Austin. So I like real country music. I don't like pretty much anything past 1985. It's not my bag. Hardcore music, New York hardcore is what that kind of stuff's probably my favorite. That's tattooed all over me. Agnostic Front, Warzone, Youth of Today, Gorilla Biscuits, Terror, all these guys. Hardcore's is it's in my blood. Boy,
it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I will always have a spot for it. It sits right next to what is one of my heart songs, which is like skate punk and that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have like you're talking about Sick of It All, and then I'm like, fuck yeah, Sick of It All.
Yeah.
Because then immediately from Sick of It All, I think of the next band that usually appeared on one of those comps, which was Strung Out, which I do have my Strung Out tattoo.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
So
yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I love Oi music, British 80s Oi stuff.
Then the obligatory question is, so I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, what is your take on the status of like quote unquote punk and the idea that like so many of them were like, shills for Hillary in the last election and just hardcore socialists now? To me, it just seems completely counter to the entire DIY ethos and, anti-authoritarian,
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And not, I hate prefacing things with this. I'm not a Trump guy, but it almost seemed like at some point when the entire establishment is against someone, I was like, it almost seems like Trump is the punk rock at this point. And it's funny how all these punk bands are shilling for Hillary. It kind of made me ill.
Johnny Rotten, I believe, was a Trumper.
He was, I believe, also a Ron Paul guy. And at least the 08, I cannot remember specifically, but I remember seeing him and Ron Paul both on the same night talk show. I don't know if it was Conan or what back then. But there was kind of a moment between them. It was nice.
I don't know that anyone can really have a moment with John Lydon.
No,
it's a prick. Which at least
Ron
he gets
Paul probably walked off stage thinking, "Who was that?"
I have no idea who this guy was, and he probably wouldn't have been much of a fan of his thing. But
no, I would assume not.
So you perform out. What kind of music do you perform? Like you said, you a lot of honky tonk.
Yeah, a lot of honk these days. I was in an Oi band recently called Hard Sell, and those guys practice so much and play so much overseas that it was too much for me. And I love them all. It was just too much dedication to one band because I play in so many things at this moment, and they kind of wanted like everyone all in for their stuff. So I had to quit Hard Sell, but I love those guys, and they're doing a bunch of stuff in Europe here in a few weeks.
Is music why you're down in Austin?
Yes. I've been playing here for 21 years.
Damn.
I've heard there's a hell of a scene down there. We're actually planning on going down there next year for a thing.
We're going for a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, let's see, am I allowed to guess what they are?
Oh, sure.
Sure, go for it.
LP convention, and then it's slipping my mind for a second. Maybe the
come on. It's slipping your mind, bro.
Childerberg,
yes.
I'm there for Childerberg, and we're going to stop and be delegates maybe at the LP convention.
And my dad lives down in Texas, so we're going to try and squeeze that in too.
Nice. Okay.
And hopefully as much AC as possible.
Music also helped me basically meet Ron Paul, because I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy Vaughn, but he's a blues guy here. His brother was Stevie Ray Vaughan, the late great Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Jimmy was a die-hard Ron Paul supporter, and he reached out to him. And so in 08, we're playing festivals for Ron Paul. Let's see, what did we do in 08? I think that was Minnesota, the Liberty Fest up in Minnesota. And then in 2012, we played the Ron Paul Festival in St. Pete, Florida, next to the Republican Convention.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And Ron Paul just walked. We're sitting in the green room in this college basketball stadium before we played. And all of a sudden there's a knock on the door, and they come in, and it's Ron Paul. Is it okay if I come in and meet you guys? My heart about stopped, but it was great.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. So, are you? And this is going to be an odd question. So, are you a professional, like music is your day job guy, or is it just something that like you spend an inordinate amount of time doing?
I would say the latter of those two options. I have a day job, and because of my politics, I'm actually not allowed to talk about it because of the atmosphere amongst the people at my. Basically, if you have anti-PC opinions, I could get in trouble. So I've said, you know what? Then I will completely erase any mention of what I do for a living in my podcast.
He's a fucking school teacher. I knew it.
No, I'm definitely not a school But it was something enough to where the SJW movement came in just enough to where I thought, you know what? To decrease any chance of me getting in trouble for what I do podcast wise or political wise, then fine. I'll never mention my job again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's terrible that you feel. I mean, I feel that way about music as well. Like as a for instance, when I had a show on Friday, and my guitar player made a joke. He's been kind of while during band practice and stuff, while we're rehearsing, doing our acoustic shit, me and him have been kind of talking, and I've been trying to open his eyes up to a lot of, the philosophy and the economics behind all this. Yeah, just a little bit at a time, perhaps, and having those conversations. And he's what, probably, he's 23, 24 maybe?
Yeah, he's a young guy.
He made a joke on stage. It was kind of like an inside joke with me. But it was something that immediately, like, I snapped him an icy stare. I'm like, no, not the place for that, bro. We'll never play again. I promise you.
Right.
And he was very perplexed by the whole situation. I'm like, he's like, why would people care? And I'm like, because people are fucking crazy. Why do they care about any of the shit they care about?
Yep, exactly.
Well, and he kind of just shrugged it off, but like, and then his mom mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
And like, she was surprised, like he said it too.
Oh, jeez.
You can't say that. He's like, he was surprised that his mom would have been so cued into it that it like struck her. And yeah, it's a weird world.
It is. Yeah. And unfortunately, the people that wildly disagree with where we're at politically, they're the ones that come after you. It's not like if the whole world was basically libertarian and a fringe amount of them were communists, we wouldn't be going after them, like, hey, fire them. That's bullshit that they have these beliefs.
Yeah.
But they don't feel the same way. So yeah, it sucks.
Unfortunately.
One of the things that I was doing today, I was looking up a particular song for our Freedom Song project that we do. And the song is from 2010, and it's explicitly like hardcore ANCAP. And what I find is people from that era have a tendency to not be ANCAPs or libertarians and usually socialists anymore. So I was actually a little not surprised when I emailed the guy or when I Facebook messaged the guy and they got a response back, basically telling me I need to repent my ways.
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting.
That is interesting.
And it was a very funny song. And as he opens up with, I wrote it 7 or 8 years ago and I regret writing it.
Wow.
And I hope anyone can find their way back from that cesspool ideology.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to continue utilizing the song as I intended and include his notes about why he's not that anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get him on. I want to try and get him on the podcast because I'd love to talk to a socialist / former ANCAP.
Yeah, they don't usually go that direction.
Actually, I'm going to be honest. While you say that, no, they absolutely do, and they do it a lot.
Really?
I know plenty of them. Now, bear in mind,
He's a lefty.
Yeah, I'm a lefty anyways. I'm the guy in the Tom Woods crew talking about, being a bisexual and a mixed an interracial marriage, pissing off all Tom Woods' fans.
Well, that wouldn't piss me off at all, but it's just I don't usually see them straight up go, I'm an ANCAP, and somehow you read a bunch of stuff and then go, you know what, Marxism actually makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh no, I've seen plenty of it.
Wow. Interesting.
In fact, I think you find with a lot of the really, really hardcore, because most people don't know what ANCAPs are unless they were one at one point in time.
Yeah.
You don't get into the minutia of libertarianism unless you were a libertarian at some point. So it is weird.
Yeah, very weird.
But
especially because being an ANCAP usually requires, I don't know, a lot of research on things. Unless, I guess you could, like anything, I'm just this without reading it. But man,
I think that what I did say to a friend of mine is that it's a very difficult ideology. So you basically accept it as religion, or it's a tough fucking road to hoe. Because, being called a racist and a bigot daily, and, knowing that you're probably not ever going to see the world that you want to see, and you're fighting a losing battle, is a really hard thing to do. Unless you have a moral conviction to it, and you believe at your core of your being that, violence is wrong, even if it is in your best interest. Mm-hmm. For the discussion I got into her with is, for me, it's an open border. Like, my true tell is open borders versus closed borders as to kind of where people fall on it.
That's an interesting one, yeah. Because I was just having that discussion last night.
I'm an open borders guy, despite the fact that I realize that it is a losing battle, in that we are inviting people over that are going to vote away our rights.
Yeah.
That being said, it's my government's fault that they're moving here in the first fucking place. And so I can't enact violence on anybody for leaving a war-torn region that I create, that I'm responsible for creating. And it's unfortunately, it's like, I understand it is not self-preservation to allow it to happen, but I can't morally justify the action that would stop it, I guess. So
I kind of want to ask a question that we haven't asked a guest in a while.
Okay.
Yes.
It's fine, Liz.
Which is kind of like what are you listening to these days? What's in your playlist? What gets you going, music wise?
That, you know what? It's funny. I actually have to think about that for a sec. I would say 95% of my listening is podcasts or audiobooks. Oh my God. I'm a nerd. I've become that guy. Let me think for a sec.
No, that's okay. You could just tell us the podcast, honestly.
When I used to ask that question, it was usually followed by, look, I know we all stopped listening to music when podcasts were invented, but
okay.
when you do occasionally.
Okay, let me first answer the music, and then I will get to the podcast part. So,
all right, sweet.
I work out. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I work out every day. So if I don't listen to a podcast at the gym, which sometimes I look around, honestly, and I think, I wonder how many guys are listening to Tom Woods right now like I am at this gym. But if I'm not, or Dave Smith, Agnostic Front, Terror, lots of Oi stuff.
I'm just envisioning you just like grunting, big chest and out, walking around the gym, like throwing 45-pound weights, just looking at people, mean mugging.
Right. While I hear Tom Woods' voice in my earbuds.
Well, no. I was imagining that if you're in the deep pump, you had to be listening to Terror.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Terror, a lot of Oi stuff. When I'm just
Tom
relaxing.
Woods is for leg days when you don't give a shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Dave Smith Mike Malice is big into the gym too. So maybe Michael Malice on deadlift day, but I love Jamaican ska, the early rock steady 60s and some of the 70s stuff. So if I'm relaxing at the house, that's probably my favorite music of all time.
That's how I get sucked into Sean Paul.
I know Sean Paul.
Sean Paul is like
he was like the pop version of that in the 90s.
Yeah, he was it was an early 2000s like pop R&B artist. And
I feel right now is that moment where my wife is 7 years younger than me. She would hear that and laugh at me and go, "Babe, you don't know that because you're old. I know who he is."
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, he's a Jamaican musician, and so like a lot of his music is very derived from that whole dance hall kind of scene.
Yeah, the early the 60s Jamaican stuff to me might be the best music ever made. I love it. It
sure captures a feeling. Like,
yes, that's question. My happy place.
Like while I'm into punk music. I was into punk music because it's what everyone else listened to when I wanted to listen to ska. Like, yeah, I probably got into like that whole scene because of Real Big Fish and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've done shows with Real Big Fish. Back in the day, I was helped start, I guess, maybe the longest running ska band in Texas in the early 90s.
What's the band? I'm curious now.
The band's called Spies Like Us. They're still going strong.
Oh, snap. I know that band.
Yeah, they're still playing to this day. They just did
Christian ska, Liz?
No, they're not Christian ska.
No.
They're just ska.
They're not.
Okay.
They're still going strong. I guess you would call them third wave ska, but yeah, I still have like the flyers when I was putting out, trying to find horn players and a guitar player, ska band, in 1993 or something. Yeah.
See, I'd love to be in a ska band. I was in a ska band when I was like in 12 or maybe 13 or 14 called the Scafia. But
What years was it?
I mean, dude, I was I couldn't even tell you. Sometime in the late 90s.
Okay. Cool.
But when I say I was in a ska band, I mean literally we had like 2 or 3 songs we learned and we played in a buddy's backyard. So it wasn't a thing. I think it was like my first or second band. I played sax in the band. But oh my goodness. Real Big Fish. I went and saw a couple years ago, and it was ridiculous. Because what's amazing to me about that band is that you watch them, and their fan base hasn't aged. Somehow, their entire group of people that are there to see Real Big Fish are still 15 years old.
Right.
Like
they're like MTV. Back, I talked to someone that was a producer years back, and they said the difference between MTV is they keep the same age demographic as the years go on. They don't care about keeping the audience. They want the age. And VH1 keeps those people and ages with them as they age through life. So I guess Real Big Fish is the MTV of the pop.
Oh, dude, it was ridiculous. Like, I fucking went to the show and I lasted like one fucking song in the pit because it was just too wild. And so like, I like, get out of the pit and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack. I'm a fat old piece of shit. And so I go and stand next to this woman like in the back of the theater, and I'm just trying to make casual contact. And I make some like, oh God, just don't have it in me anymore. And she smiles politely and kind of like looks away. And I try and keep the conversation going a little bit. And to which eventually what you find out is, I'm here with my son.
Of course.
It was a harsh burn, to say the least.
Yes. I had a similar experience at a Boss Tones gig I went to maybe 8 years ago in Austin here. And I thought, this is going to be like old times. And it was like, yep, it's like old times. Everyone is the age I was in those old times. And
exactly.
I'm like the dad in the back, yet I don't have any kids.
So what I was getting at was like, I would love to be in a ska band, but I can't start a ska band up here in the north because you can't do ska music when it's cold. Like you're all cooped up and you're pent up, and you got all that ska energy, and then you've got nowhere to like dispel that energy. Right.
There's no island hot Jamaican vibe. And you guys are in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Fuck the heat. I'm not about the heat. I'll take the winter over ska music, given the choice. Clearly, but I'll think to myself like it was a hard choice.
Okay. Like
I could have had ska music. Instead, I chose not needing air conditioning all year.
Oof. Yeah. Well, I might come back to you in December and ask if you're still cool.
Right.
Liz, what do you think the chances of that position changing in December are?
Yeah, his position's not going to change at all. I'm going to be like, give me ska music and surfing.
Right.
And I'll be sitting out in the front yard in a lawn chair and flip flops and shorts, going, I can do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is me.
Right.
Another shrimp on the bar.
Hey, how's it going? Nikki P here. Want to support the show or just give a big middle finger to Patreon? Consider stopping over to supportSLL.com. Members of the Freedom Choir get access to the private Facebook group and actual physical merch. Want access to the unedited raw interviews as they're recorded way before they're released? It's in there. Is that not enough? And you want membership to Freedom Song 365? It's in there. There's even monthly bonus swag for top tier supporters. So head on over to supportsll.com. Help Liz and I get to libertarian functions and even just cover the costs of making the show. If I'm not a good enough salesman, how about this?
Support my mom and dad and Sounds Like Liberty. Go to supportsll.com.
You heard her, folks. Join the Freedom Choir at supportsll.com. So what is the reason, I guess, that you started a podcast yourself? Like, and now it's passe. Like, there's so many libertarian podcasts out there. Like, why the hell should anyone care what you said? What's your distinct angle?
That's a good question. So I'm not too high on myself. I don't know why anyone should care what I say, but I do have an answer for that. I started it because I'm so into podcasts. For one, I love listening to these guys spread the message, and I thought, I'm so into it. I read a lot. I might have something to input here, and it started because I'm in Austin. A lot of my friends are from the music scene, and they're either open to change or they're going to be left of center. And I thought, you know what? The more I talk to these people one-on-one when we're out at a show or whatever, out at a bar, they always go, you know what? That's a good point. Where else can I find more stuff to research on what you're saying? And so I kept hearing that through, years and years. And I thought, well, I do like this podcast thing. If I could get voices on my podcast to interview, and these people that I talk to at bars hear that, it's like, well, there's your answer to where can I learn more about this? And so I just started doing it. And I thought, I'm going to bring on these guests that know a lot about economics, know a lot about politics, philosophy, government, history, etc. And slowly but surely, maybe very slowly but surely, I do have people emailing me privately saying, I don't want to talk about it when I see you out, but you've convinced me. So it's
nice.
It's like,
well, that's what you hope for.
I'm chipping away at it.
That's really cool. I mean, and I think that is kind of the answer to that question. I don't really get upset about people starting new libertarian podcasts as much, because there are those people that you're going to reach that, Tom Woods isn't going to reach. Like,
right.
He reaches tons of people, let's face it. But
but he turns off a lot of people too. The whole racism
But yeah,
thing.
there is an opening, for people. There's a niche for everyone, I think, and I'm really excited that people are putting their own weird take out on it out there, so that people can find the message, because that's what we need.
And sometimes when people are, you hear stereotypes of a movement, and you think, I don't know about that. It helps to know the person. So if all of these friends I have or acquaintances or whatever, they know me, so they know for sure, well, I can shed this stereotype of him, even though I think this about capitalists, or I think this about individualists, or Ayn Rand, or whatever. They know that's not me. So,
well, you're not an Ayn Rand fan? Yeah. Interview over.
Well, I am on certain things, but she's like the devil for a lot of the leftist friends I have, and I'm not sure they've ever even read.
They haven't, because if they knew anything about her, they'd be like, "This is the most feminist person ever." I don't know. I don't know how you can read the fucking Fountainhead or Atlas Shrugged and not go, "This is just feminist porn." Like, she created a woman who's like the perfect woman, who's super intelligent and every man wants to fuck. Like, she's irresistible on all fronts. It's like, you're just living out your fantasies, aren't you?
A lot of them just equate her with libertarianism. And I know everyone that's deep into the movement says, well, here's the difference.
She hated libertarians. That's the difference.
Right. And Murray Rothbard thought she was a kook and thought her followers were kind of a cult-like, basically. But
they are. I mean, you listen.
My friends on the left, they don't know any of that stuff. They just say libertarian, Ayn Rand, greed, capitalism, etc. And so when they have these stereotypes, and I'm in my episode on why capitalism's good and socialism's bad, they might have these stereotypes like selfish, jerk, rich guy in their head, but they know me and they know that's not me. So I think if you can be a good person, friendly, and be friends with people all across the political spectrum, and then put these ideas out there, some of those walls are knocked down. Their blinders are pulled away a little bit. So, I'm doing my little part, I think.
I'm doing this way wrong then, because like my goal has been to come out and just like hector people and like poke the bear and, just talk shit to their faces.
Subtle way.
Oh no, I can't be subtle. Like, I'm just, I ask you, why do you want people to die?
Right. The more I drink, Nick, the more I do that too.
Maybe
In fact, my Twitter, the more I drink, the more I get on Twitter, when I see people like Beto posting these things they've been posting,
dude,
I almost want to post something to get banned on Twitter.
The thing that kills me about the whole Beto thing is that, like, he set up some of the best memes I've ever seen in that exchange with that one senator, and he's like, the senator's like, come and take them. Like, this is exactly why you shouldn't have guns.
Yeah,
that's a threat. Like, wait a minute, you just threatened a guy with the violence of the military or police taking his property, and you think he's the one making threats?
And that logic is so far over his head that he didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And I've seen leftist friends on Facebook being pro Beto after those things were discussed, and literally saying, "Good. I hope they come and take these people's guns." I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a long way to go here. They've
got a big thing that's going to happen between that, and I don't know that they're prepared for it.
No, well, that would literally start a hot civil war. I kind of think we're in a cold one right now.
We're definitely in a cold one,
but that would start a hot one.
And I've got a kid, so I don't want it to become a hot one. But
no, I don't either. And they are not going to, like, I don't know what winning would be to them in that particular equation, but they're not going to win that.
Like, secession is the only win that we have at this point. I was just going to say, states are going to leave, or cities or someone. I promise you, Texas is not going to go collectively, here's our guns.
Yeah,
we're leaving.
I can tell you right now, New York City is going to have to fight the rest of the state. I know the counties I come from, they're not giving them up if you can find them.
Where's Ohio on this type of discussion? I'm really unfamiliar with the landscape there.
I mean, there's a lot in Ohio. We are actually in the city.
Yeah, I'm not staying in Ohio if the shit hits the fan. I'm going back. I'm actually going back to New York.
Where we are, they're going to be all rah at the state, but there are definitely places down south where people are used to being left on their own land, and they're probably not going to go for it.
Like, I know some militia leaders and stuff in Ohio, and I know plenty of people that make their own ammo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not staying here. If need be, like, the people that I can trust to protect me are all back in New York State.
I will say, and I think my episode next week might be on this topic, I do appreciate the honesty of people like Beto and Bernie with his eugenics, basically population. At least they're being honest at this point, because Barack Obama is really good at being slick and kind of talking over different points.
Slick Barry.
And the whole time Republicans are going, wait, they're going to take our guns. No, we don't want to take your guns. At least now they're going, no. We are going to take your guns. So
hell yeah, we're going to take your guns.
Yeah, the honesty is kind of refreshing.
I mean, it's terrifying, but
I'd listen to that episode.
So let's take a little bit of a turn,
okay?
Because I want to make sure I got enough time to get these lyrics in and me not have to edit the shit out of it. I had to edit our last episode. I had to edit out like at least a half an hour of content, and I hate doing that.
Okay.
So.
All right. What are we talking about?
Which song are we going to be talking about here, Buck? Because Buck actually had some songs that he thought could make the cut that he was a part of.
Ooh.
Yeah, he played drums on them.
Nice.
So the band Hard Cell I was in.
I like that name, by the way. It sounds like a Sick of It All kind of band.
Well, it's a mix between kind of boy, and I keep saying that term, so for those unfamiliar, it's kind of a English, I don't want to get into there and get in trouble, but it's an English punk rock aesthetic, basically. And they mix that with kind of a hardcore feel.
I think when I think Oi, I just think like the English brother to street punk.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And Hard Cell's been around since 90, gosh, I don't want to get in trouble and mess this up, 94-ish, 95 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a Dutch band. And then the lead singer moved here to Austin and basically met him out at a bar. And he said, I want to do some stuff. I'm going to live here in Texas now. And I want an American version of Hard Cell. you be into it? And I said, well, hell yeah, I wanted to be in a band like this for a long time, so let's do it. So he is very conservative. Let's say not in the Mitt Romney sense, but more so in the F the system sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm editing myself. I usually don't curse on my own podcast.
You can curse all you want on ours, clearly.
I'm more of a fuck the system sense. And
I mean, I see fuck control in the first set of lyrics you sent me, very, very boldly written. I believe these are all caps.
Yeah. and that's Chris for you. He's very anti-establishment. I love that about him. It's funny because there's at least one player in the band that's more of a Bernie-ish person.
Mm-hmm.
And so every once in a while at practice, we'd get talking about the lyrics of the songs and like start to kind of get a little debate, and the singer would kind of shut it down quickly and go, let's get back into it here. And it was, I loved playing with those guys.
I feel like you have to censor your art for fucking people being around.
Yeah, it was more so let's not get into a political argument while we waste time while we're supposed to be practicing kind of thing.
Look, this guy's only with it because like he owes me a favor.
He's a brilliant guitar player and good kind of structuralist of songs, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Which song are we going to talk about?
You sent me two of them. We can talk about whichever one you like. Either Toe the Line or Don't Live For You are the two that you sent me.
Well, Toe the Line lyrically, I suppose, is a little more libertarian.
Okay.
Let's talk about that one.
Okay.
Awesome.
Liz, why don't you read some of these lyrics here?
All right. It must piss you off to see you got no control over me. The harder you push, the harder we push back. Nice.
And then all caps.
And then all caps.
Fuck control.
Fuck control.
You don't have anything better to do. Fuck control. Don't you tell us what to do.
If ever there was a punk rock song.
Right? It's just like straight up.
What do you think he's trying to say there, Liz?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
You didn't think he was waxing poetic in there at all?
I don't know.
Out of curiosity, like, do you have any frame of reference on like what his position, like where the song comes from? I'm curious.
I don't specifically know that, but I know he's very much like let's put it this way. He lives out, I would say, 30 minutes outside of the city on a farm with about, maybe 60 animals. He might have more guns than animals. I'm not sure. But this is a man that is in the punk rock scene for his whole life, basically. Yet he's saying, don't ever try to tell me how to live. Don't try to tell me what to do with my property. If you try that, I'll push back and you're going to be sorry. So fuck you. That's that's Chris's kind of life, basically.
And he lives the experience himself, huh?
Yes, he's been in the punk rock scene since the early 90s and well known in it, actually. Yeah, no one fucks with Chris. He's a badass, and he's all heart, and it comes across though as kind of a tough guy, and he's great.
Nice. So we got the chorus here, which is toe the line, being judged without a jury. Toe the line, tell me what else is new. Toe the line, life is so much more exciting. Toe the line, when you don't fit in, we don't fit in.
Yeah, that's kind of the black sheep mentality. He's got the minor threat, out of step with the world type thing.
I mean, I think those are the people that end up where we end up, inevitably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he is a listener of my podcast, so I got to give him credit. I'm pulling him in. Go ahead.
What's interesting to me, because like there's so much of the music like the we've talked about that is like definitely hardcore left. Like I know that the artists are, yet it's so anti-authoritarian in nature. Like, in particular, I think we released Rancid's Black and Blue. We looked at with the one project today, and obviously Rancid is not not politically where we are. We'll just say, but you listen to that song, and so much of that song is just like, avoid the mind control. Stay yourself, be who you are, and don't let them take you down. To me, like, the whole song is just kind of like, I don't know what they wrote it for, but the whole thing strikes me as a treatise on, evading the brainwashing of public schooling. Where they're there to break you as a person and make you into something else. And it always just fascinates me, like, how you can have that that dynamic. Where I can see in their music what I see in it, and know that that's not what they intended on it.
Yeah, and when you and I were messaging back and forth about libertarian type lyrics, I was thinking, I was going over some with different bands, and I started kind of almost over analyzing, like, wait a sec, this guy's probably not a libertarian, but these lyrics sure sound like it. Maybe he's a leftist. What would he mean then by this? And I think we mentioned it earlier with your police friend, the cognitive dissonance. I think that could be there with some of these punk bands, and also
specifically, NoFX has a song where he makes the lyric, "Call it libertarian because we do as we please." But like, I know Fat Mike's a fucking dirty socialist.
Yeah, for sure, and maybe because I don't know that maybe some of them grew up in the '80s like I did, and there was a while where the right and the religious right, that's who you were kind of rebelling against, because they were the authoritarians. And certainly after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, the wars, George Bush, it's like, that's who we rebel against. That's the man. And it seems like 2008 with Barack Obama changed, and people like you and I and your wife, we all went the same anti-authoritarian way. And then like the other 80% were like, no, we still don't like Republicans.
We're tired of fighting, bro. These people are cool. They don't want to throw us in cages,
Right. And
just
it's
all
like
those people in those other countries.
And Obama was so good at, like, under this guise of like being a great speaker and eloquent and friendly, and just, I mean, the guy's badass at what he did. Let's put it that way. He was he gave great speeches. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, he's got good taste in transvestites. I know that.
Making me laugh. I'm got a cough too.
Oh, jeez.
Excuse me. But there's literally people when Trump got elected that I saw on Facebook posting, "We miss Obama." No, I forgot. I can't think of the terms they were saying. No controversies. No blah blah blah. Like, he was the best person, and I thought, how many wars did he start? Do you not know anything about any of those?
But that's the thing, they don't.
I don't think they do.
Their obliviousness is kind of what makes it what it is.
Yep. And so if you grow up under like Reagan and the Republican right, that's the man. They're the authoritarians. And then George Bush comes along and he starts these wars, blah, blah, blah. Anyone on the left, then I guess is going to seem like, well, that's the cool people, man. They're what we're all about. They let us do what we want.
Well, I mean, Bill Clinton was really the first black president.
That's what he says.
Well, that's what I think the black people say too at this point.
Yeah.
So let's get back into this. We can digress too much. I want to make sure we get through it.
Sorry for getting to the weeds on that.
We will never fall in line. We choose not to be like you. Hardworking men and women trying to support their families. Refuse oppression. Confuse authority. Form your own opinions and live fucking free. God damn, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got a chubby over here at that fucking second half of that verse.
Yeah.
Fucking
and
form your own opinions and live fucking free.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope no one listens to that, sees that, and goes, man, that is great. I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders.
Right? Jeez.
See, and herein lies the issue. And I have to perpetually give credit to Sanders, is that if you go down the list, he sees all the problems. Like, everything on his list is the same shit that we would all bitch about.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that his solution is let's just do double what we've been doing so far.
Yes.
As opposed to what we're doing isn't fucking working. Let's do something else.
Right. And I think you guys would agree with me that there is a corporate problem with government, crony capitalism. That's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we're going, let's get the government out, because without them, corporations don't have power, right? They can't put a gun to your head and say, do this or you're going in a cage. That's government that does that. But right. Bernie's the opposite. Rather, what's the corporations that are evil, and let's expand government. It's like, well, that's how the corporations become evil, because they get in bed with government. Government has the power. We don't.
Well, and to me, the thing is that you can ask most people. They've known somebody with money, or they've known someone who runs a business. And the bottom line is, so you know these people. Or do they seem evil to you? What is their thought process? It's not evil that makes people do things. It's people trying to better their position in life, which is the same fucking thing you would do in their position. Because that's all you're trying to do right now is better your position. But the graft that you're accusing them of using is the same graft that you're trying to use right now to take what someone else earned.
Right.
Like, understanding that human beings want to do better by themselves and they want to make the world more secure for those and those around them. That's just how your brain functions. So the corporations aren't doing evil things inherently. They're doing what they would naturally do. However, when you have this giant fucking tool called the government that lets them do, what allows them to have the scales tilted in their favor, that's the problem. It's like, well, why don't you just take away the tool? like they're going to try and do this regardless. Let's not give them the thing that allows them to do it.
Right.
You can want to surf the internet all you want, but if there's no connection, then you're just kind of stuck reading comic books.
Yeah, and there's a contingency on the left. Maybe it's all of the left that thinks that, well, regulation, that's good for society, because without regulation, these businesses would run roughshod over everyone and everyone die of poison water and everything. It's like they don't get this picture that regulation is what keeps little companies like my wife's, who owns a salon. Regulations keep little companies from getting bigger. And the big companies, they love the regulation. They can afford it. And so they lobby for it. Mm-hmm. And you think, why would these big corporations lobby for regulations on themselves? Because they can afford it and the little guy under them can't. So it pushes that little guy out. That's something that's not talked about nearly enough on the left. And Bernie certainly would never talk about it. I don't know if he doesn't realize it or if he knows it and just wants to overlook it.
It's a great question.
Mm. Yep.
You sure, Liz?
Yep.
Right on. Well, is there anything you want to plug while we still have you on there, boss? Anything you got coming up that you're real excited about?
Well, I'm excited in general about the podcast Death to Tyrants. It drops every Monday. You can find it at facebook.com/Death to Tyrants podcast.
Wait a minute. Did you listen to Tom Woods and you didn't give out an actual URL? I'm always disappointed when you guys do this shit. You don't have deathtotyrantspod.com or something? It's $12 a year. You can get them for $8, depending if you're like Namecheap or something.
Tom Woods bought it.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I don't know.
Just for the record, I know who owns darktomwoods.com.
Yeah, which is a good one as well. One of my favorite Twitters, Dark Tom Woods. No, I'm honestly, technology, as far as that kind of stuff and websites go, I'm extremely basic. I'm 42 years old. Not that that's a great excuse. I realize Tom's older than me and he's the best at this stuff. But no, it's just basic. I got a Facebook page, facebook.com/Death to Tyrants podcast, and Twitter @BuckRebel, BuckRebel.
I'm gonna go buy the fucking URL to your site then.
Man, you guys listening, if you're going to buy that, I don't know, do me a favor and make it cool.
I'm just going to redirect it to your Facebook page, but like.
Okay, well, that'll work then. Yeah, I've not, You know what's sad is I've not even thought about a Death to Tyrants actual webpage. It's never even crossed my mind.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to have the page. You just want the URL. You can send it wherever the hell you want to.
I'm a bad salesman. I'm so not about that kind of thing that I just want to have fun and record podcasts, and people listen, they listen.
Like, that's why I own Your Friends Are Wrong About the Environment.
Okay, that's a total
good.
Tom Woods.
Yes, I blatantly ripped off Tom Woods.
That is such an inside baseball joke. I love it.
As soon as we finish the ebook, it's going to go to the ebook.
Oh, good Lord.
Will I get it for free?
I mean, I'm not charging people for that ebook. So it's going to be on environmentalism and why your friends are fucking wrong.
That's awesome.
Why the EPA causes more pollution than it fixes.
You guys do a podcast on that, don't you?
I do. Free Markets Green Earth with Ben Pangy of Homesteads and Homeschools.
I need to start subscribing to that because I know literally almost nothing about environmental stuff. I've never been into the global warming stuff. It just doesn't interest me. But now it's becoming such a big deal and such a massive movement to push socialism that I need to learn. I need to learn myself up on this stuff. Nick?
You know who else talks about it from a really interesting perspective is Monica Perez over at the Property.
Yes. She's badass.
I want to get her on because I want to talk to her about like rock star conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
Like why did Chris Cornell really die? I think she knows.
Really?
I want to find out anyways.
Okay. Interesting. I want to talk to her about that too then.
Nice.
Talk to her. She's a smart gal.
She is. She's been making the rounds too. I've had an exchange or two with Binkley on Twitter. He's pretty dope. I harassed him about something he said on the show. Because that's literally what I do. I just go on to Twitter and harass people about things they say on their show. I feel like I'm being good natured about it, but sometimes I don't think they get that I'm being good natured about it.
Right.
I don't necessarily care, but
it's hard to inflect emotion in just a few characters online.
Well, no, you wouldn't get any emotion anyways. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Like if I were talking to you in person, I'd probably be like, "Your mother's a whore,"
and I'd be like, "Wait, you know my mom?"
Oh, jeez.
I learned one phrase in French in high school, and it was "Your mom is not very expensive." And it was
that almost sounds English.
And it was very, very poorly conjugated.
I can't deal with you guys. You're both ridiculous.
I'm not going to say what it actually was because it was so poorly conjugated, and I cared so little about French class. I could have actually been saying something completely different, but in my head, that's what I believed I was saying to people. Your mom is not very expensive.
Oh, jeez.
At least we're making Liz laugh.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I don't know how she manages to live with me at all, but it has to just be a barrel of laughs and tears. Lots of crying about what you were laughing at.
Anyway, it has been delightful.
One last quick question. So I'm curious, how is your wife on board with you, or kind of just stays the fuck out of it?
She is, I'll say 100% on board. She's not big into politics, but she is extremely knowledgeable, kind of because she listens to the podcast. She watches shows with me. She goes to, every once in a while, she'll go to a Mises event with me, enough to where she comes home. She's a hairdresser. She owns a salon. She'll come home and go, "Oh my God.
So much bad hair."
Well, that too. Yeah, it's first.
So many men who do not care about how they look.
This person wanted me to do this to their hair. They couldn't, blah, blah, blah. But after all of that, you should have heard what this lady said about Trump or Bernie or Hillary, who knows. But yet she gets it enough to vent to me, and she understands where I'm coming from, and she's basically at the same point. It's just that I research it way further.
I mean, Liz has been apolitical for the most part. Like, that's where she was before things. Like, why am I wasting time thinking about politics?
Yeah, pretty much.
To which my response is because they're trying to stuff your child in a fucking school and brainwash them.
Yeah. And
that's why you need to care.
We don't have a kid yet. We're working on that, which is fun.
You better get on it, bro. Like I'm already like upset. Like I'm gonna be fucking 70 and my kid's gonna be 40. That sucks.
Shit. Yeah, it's gonna be something like that for me
like
too.
when you start doing that math, the calculus, like fuck, I'm gonna be old as hell when I have a kid.
But to go back to a previous topic, I will be doing ronpaulhomeschool.com. Wait, is that a website?
Possibly.
Yeah, my wife's on board with all of that stuff. And she, one of the things she's noted that's interesting is that her progressive clients are extremely vocal about their opinions. And sometimes when they don't even know her particular politics, and her conservative clients are very shy about pointing out their opinions and bringing stuff up. Maybe because we're in Austin, maybe because she's covered with tattoos. I don't know if they're stereotyping, but once they find out that her husband has a libertarian podcast, the conservative ones feel
Lord, they just open right up.
Yes. I love your husband's podcast.
I was hoping that they were all like black women, just for the record.
I'm just going to push you off the chair now.
I know they're not, because I'm looking at a picture of your wife right now. And
yeah, they are typically somewhere between 25 and 40. Let's see. Yeah, they're like rich white women from Austin. There's a few black women in there, but Austin's demographics, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's that's not one of the bigger demographics here.
Yeah, no, I've read up on it because we're going down there, and I'm trying to talk Nick into just staying. So I have read up on it. It's interesting.
Honey, you can stay all you want. Then I'll come home and not be fucking dying of a heart attack here in Texas.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, you see, you're approaching this from the wrong way. I'm trying to drag her ass up to New Hampshire or Alaska.
Yeah.
Alaska.
I ain't afraid of snow. I grew up in like upstate New York, and I'm used to a fair amount of snow. We'll just say.
You buy me a shotgun. You take me to the shooting range so I can, take out a bear if I need to, and I'll think about it.
You wrestle a bear once.
We got a shooting range like a mile from here, my house.
It's right next to a school.
That's pretty cool.
It's between a school
and a strip club.
And on the other side of the strip club is the ice cream parlor. 1950s themed.
It's libertarian heaven.
Yeah. God, the fact that there aren't zoning laws there, you could just build yourself a house out of whatever the hell you want.
Just, build yourself a roller coaster over somebody's house if you fucking feel it. So, Buck, it's been a fantastic interview having you on here, boss. Thank you so much.
You got it, Nick. This has been awesome. This is one of my favorite conversations I've had since doing my own podcast.
It's been real ridiculous.
I
will bring that.
Be so serious about everything. You guys are fun. I love this.
Yay.
If there is any niche I want, that's I think probably why I love the Fadcast guys so much, because it's hilarious.
Yes, those guys are.
I'm not going to compete with Tom Woods on his knowledge. And I don't think we need to. I think really what we need to be working at as podcasters is kind of teaching the next generation how to get along and how to be part of a community. I think
just have fun.
We didn't have that. Yeah, have fun. Yeah. And listen to good music. See, he is in the good music camp. Like I could hang around with this guy in Ancapistan.
Are we good? We can hang out in Ancapistan?
Yeah, we're chill.
We're gonna move to New Hampshire then.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know that I'm moving to New Hampshire, because New Hampshire I still feel is fucked because of all the people moving out of Massachusetts.
Ugh.
Just like you guys are fucked because of all the people moving from California to Austin.
Yeah, is that well known even up where you're from? Because that is the case.
No. That's why I laugh every time a conservative complains about the Mexicans. I'm like, you realize the Mexicans aren't the problem. It's the liberals ruining states and then moving to the next conservative state where they don't have taxes, and then making the taxes too high and getting the people addicted to taxes and then doing it again. It's literally how our country has been fucked the way it has, because that stuff never gets repealed.
It's the Californians that want to turn Texas blue.
The Mexican, if the Republicans weren't assholes, the Mexicans would be Republicans. They're all Catholic. They're conservative Christians. Like, what do you want here?
Mm.
The only reason they vote Democrat is because they think you hate brown people.
Yeah.
So if you stop giving that impression, you might actually go a ways.
That'd be nice.
Oh well. Well, like I said, it has been fantastic having you on, boss. Thank you so much. And you have
Thanks,
yourself
Nick.
a good Sunday evening.
Thank you, Liz, as well.
Thanks.
How was that, Liz?
That was fabulous.
Was it as fabulous as a John Waters movie marathon?
Equally fabulous?
You're lying.
Depends on
It was a great
movies.
interview, but I'm not giving it John Waters Film Festival status. That's
Okay,
just not
fair
going to
enough.
happen.
Fair enough.
He worked that pussy song into a movie, and that makes me happy.
I don't even remember that now.
Oh my god!
Was it like an old 60s song kind of thing?
No, go back even further.
Oh.
It was like a novelty 1950s song,
Oh, right on. Okay.
and it was talking about a wet pussy.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Seems like the kind of thing that Nick would pay attention to.
I suppose.
So, if you like the show, you can go do your subscribe thing where all the places that you want to go. You can go mix it up with me on Twitter, which is always fun.
Sure.
At SLL Podcast.
Right on.
It's SLL Podcast everywhere, Liz.
Well, fair enough.
As I said in the beginning, you can go to the Sounds Like Liberty discussion board on Facebook, or you can go and get yourself in the Freedom Choir, where you get to hear all of the stuff that doesn't get into the episodes, which is usually a bunch of audio because I record way too damn much. Sometimes I cut out an hour of material.
Well, I mean, we just get to talking. And
I'm still salty about the Matthew Erickson episode.
Yeah, there's so
I
much good
cut
stuff on
far
the
too
cutting
much.
room floor there.
Yes, I
Yeah.
cut we're philosophical brothers, Liz.
I know.
we
It
read
was
something.
awesome.
And you can
Cool,
find all the directions to all this stuff if you go to soundslike.liberty.com.
Indeed.
You know what? Something I want to start doing, because for me, I'm so much about community here. I really want to start plugging other people's stuff.
Okay.
So, whose stuff should we shout out today?
What about Trisha?
Trisha
Yeah.
over at Gingerarchy?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, go listen to our friend Trisha over at Gingerarchy. She's a great friend of the show. Plus, ginger lady.
Yeah. And
We like our
she's
ginger ladies
super
over here.
cool and super fun and totally principled. So.
I'm not telling you if you're a hot ginger lady to, send us your nudes, but,
What? I'm just going to throw socks at Nick now because we're in the basement and this is where our laundry is.
She's like, I have to
You
go
can
to work
disregard
and
that last comment.
I have to go to work and I'm excited now. Seriously, nobody send us any nudes. I will stalk you. I get creepy. Creepy and clingy, and nobody wants any of that.
Oh, good Lord.
But if ginger ladies are your thing, go and listen to Trisha. And if you send her creepy shit, just know that she has the biggest catalog of creepy people sending her shit on the internet.
What? Okay.
Oh, no. If you didn't know this is a thing, Trisha has a giant catalog of all of the crap that gets sent to her inbox.
Yeah, well, no, I can imagine, but
And-
that's so that you can blow up these people because it's ridiculous and you shouldn't do that to people.
Yeah, but if you want to be a creep and get notoriety, that's the way you can do it. I'm just telling them that that's a route that they can take.
Oh,
I wouldn't recommend that route. But if they want to be famous for, stalking somebody, that's the easy way to make it happen.
That's negative attention. You don't want negative attention. Do something awesome. How about that?
What do you mean?
You know, like
What's negative attention, Liz?
attention for doing dumb
I
shit.
think you're misinterpreting that there is such a thing as bad attention.
Okay, fair enough.
The only bad attention is police attention.
Well, you could get that way too.
Let's not get the police called here, please. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for stopping by. This has been episode 66 of the Sounds Like Liberty podcast on the Launchpad Media. Always launching ideas in your direction. Peace.